basically in the starter setup here,
You guys look like brothers,
we are.
We are.
farmers.
The planter you like to set up somewhat level.
Okay.
And we use the top link here to set your hitch height. A lot of ATVs, your hitch height may only be this far off the ground. You go to a tractor, but once you use this to set your hitch height, once that's coupled on the ball and it's off the jack, by either stretching or lengthening this top length, in essence, you're raising or lowering the front of the planter.
Okay.
I contribute it kind of like trimming a boat motor.
Right.
If you're hooked up and you're sitting there, and if you got a little bit heavier cover you need to cut harder, you can make the front of the planter sit a little lower, and this front row of discs will cut a little harder.
Oh, okay.
Now, we can adjust the disc blades for doing a pasture interseeding. With this old retired Boy Scout friend of mine, what he does, he stretches his top link up, so he's raising the front of this planter clear up so these disc blades can't touch the ground, and the only thing that's scratching the grass seeds ends is the tine bar.
That's awesome.
And because I think he's just lazy and don't want to change the disc blades. So once you're set level, we've got the disc blades right now are set at a 10-degree angle front back. There's 4 gangs of 6 disc blades. And these are an 8-inch disc. They're actually a Case International part number. I give everybody the part number because you beat them up and wear them out. You don't have to come back to me to get them.
Wow,
That's pretty cool.
But right now we're at a 10-degree angle. The front row cuts the ground, rolls it outward. The second row cuts it in a staggered location but rolls it back to center. Then trailing that, I got a row of 10 spring harrow tine, and they're just doing the last busting and leveling out of it. If you want to get in and do some pasture overseeding, you can loosen this bolt and change this bolt to here on each gang, and that straightens them out. And then you're just slicing the ground rather than actually rolling it over.
We're going to be doing some of that.
Works really good for pasture overseeding. We've been selling a lot of them to ranchers and farmers and alpaca ranchers because they got smaller paddocks. Okay, and we got the tethered wired remote control for it. And we got an up and down for the disc blades, and then engage and disengage for the clutch system. I tell the customer to take this cable up and wrap it through the framework of the ATV. I like to run and I just lay it on my leg. So I can grab it and I know up or down, on or off. But if you drop the thing and don't have it tied on, you're going to drag and go over it and you're dead in the water.
The coolest thing is having that control. You can adjust this as you're going over different terrain. I mean,
feather.
yeah.
Right. That's what I do. You get on, get ready to go and take off, and I just start dropping the disc blade down to where I'm working the ground to what I want it. When you get to an end row, you can disengage the seed box if you want, or you can just pick up the disc blades, turn around. You can do whatever you really want to do.
So that remote raises and lowers the blades, and it also disengages and engages the seed box.
Correct.
That's
Yep.
awesome. Because
And
a lot of guys with a lot of these, they have a problem where that remote only does that and doesn't disengage. So they
Right.
end up, and when they're turning, they end up losing a lot of seed on the turn on the end of the row.
So that's kind of the basics there. We can pop the lids off now. These are just kind of spring loaded by themselves.
Aha.
And this one will take off too. This is your native grass box with the picker wheels on the bottom. They're about that thick wide. And they pull your native grasses and the seeds down there. The agitators actually push that seed towards the picker wheel.
That's sweet.
That's awesome. Wow, you know,
Now-
Dewey, it's like there was a lot of thought that went into this.
Yeah, there is. Hard knocks and dirty socks.
There you go.
Your small seed box up here, you can see the little metered seed cups turning. And this shift handle here is how you adjust your application rates. There it's wide open. See the fluted wheels are wide open. Here they're feathered way down.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you can lock it in. Each notch here equals 1/8 of an inch of the open flute in there. So if you get a seed mix, say switchgrass that you figured out you want to run at this application rate, you can write down how you're on the 5th or 6th notch. I recommend taking a Sharpie and write it on the inside of the lid.
Oh.
So you go right back to it every time. It's repeatable.
Okay.
To calibrate the big boxes, we go to this side. Now over here we use a quick change sprockets. You can come on around this side,
Yep.
guy.
Yep.
We use a quick change sprockets to change our application rates. This is our fastest application rate. To switch it, you raise the idler Pop the linch pins. Oh,
I reversed it.
that's your slowest application rate.
What a lot of thought. That's amazing.
No, I'm not gonna put the pins in. But on the other side, we store 2 more sets of sprockets, gives you 5 application rates in here.
Wow.
We've got a sticker in here that shows you the rear shaft, the front shaft, and the 2 application rates. To do an application rate, you put your seed in either hopper box, whichever one you want to do first. I put a pan underneath that drop chute on the back. And well, I guess we haven't covered that, but we'll get to it. Put your seed in and you put a 9/16 wrench on this. Crank that 15 turns. That equals 2% of an acre. You take out the seed that churned and weigh it into ounces. Then we got the sticker on the door, but you multiply that ounces by 3.125. So if that churns out 10 ounces, it's going to give you 31.5 pounds an acre.
Wow.
That's pretty cool.
And you do the same thing with a small seed box. You can calibrate each seed box independent of the other.
Wow.
You can run them together at the same time or run just one.
That's awesome. Did you hear that, Dad?
Yes.
That is amazing.
This thing has definitely got some thought into it.
Over here is where we store the other 2 sets of sprockets for our 2 application rates, a pair of 26s and an 18 and a 31.
Okay.
So between the 3 sets gives you 5 application rates.
And then you got your wiring in there.
Yep,
too.
our remote control is terminated here, and it's 6 wires and colored wire, and each one is on the top color. If you've run over a remote or damage it, it's simple just to replace it and change it out. There's a pair of relays up here that do the switching for the big actuator. Everything's pretty well self-contained. All the bearings are sealed bearings, except there's one plastic nylon bearing up there that's got a grease zerk, but being nylon and it's got grease in it, it's not a high-speed operation. It just does not a lot of maintenance needed. I do not recommend oiling or lubing chains. If you want to put something on your chain, put WD-40, because otherwise it just attracts dirt and they wear out.
Yep.
Well, these are a 6-ply ATV tire, American-made, heaviest ATV tire I can find. We put them on a little car tire rim like that, and then it plumps them up like a little implement tire. But the 2 seed boxes meter the seed like a conventional drill, but from there we drop the seed down what I call a drop chute, which is underneath. You can see there's little dividers in that thing.
Yep.
In that drop chute, that's so if you're on a slope, the seed won't pool to one corner.
Oh my goodness.
It drops in there. The seed is metered, drops into this drop chute, but it spreads out to a 36-inch width. Then this seed is channeled down and makes the seed deposit right on the tips of the harrow tines up here.
What Dewey's talking about, these are divided up individually, and if this is up on an angle this way,
If you're on a slope like this, the seed won't pool to one corner.
other ones that I've seen in the past, it does do that.
So
it
you
all
only
goes to
get-
the other
you
side.
only get planting
And
on one
you
side.
get
If
you
you're
get
not
a
doing
big
that
wad of seed.
You're just gonna get a trail of seed.
Yeah, trail. Man, you were thinking, brother.
The seed comes out this black drop chute, and if you could look straight down there, you're gonna see the tips of the harrow tines. This drop chute here is about 1 inch wide, 1.5 inches wide. Right there is where the seed drops out. Drops right on them harrow tines as you're pulling it down the beaten path, and harrow tines just churning, rolling that dirt mixture, and that seed just folds in.
There
My
is-
whole plan from the start was it's 5 foot wide outside tire to tire, and anywhere you can go with an ATV, this thing will follow. Personally, I like an ATV because I'm closer to it. I got my eyes on what's happening.
Exactly.
You get a UTV where you got the box behind you, you know, you don't have the observation like sitting there. Now, when you're bouncing down the road, you cannot keep your eyes focused on that little square shaft to see if it's turning. So on there, we have put a red and yellow stripe on there.
Aha.
So you can glance over your eye and see that shaft turning.
Seed or not.
Because I've heard stories where guys pull out of a field and run down the gravel road and they're still dropping their seed down the gravel road.
Okay, so you know you're disengaged.
Yeah. I've heard stories where guys go and they'll tie a rag on that shaft so they can see that rag flipping.
Okay.
It is not a high-speed operation, but it gives them a visual contact to where they can
This
see that.
this is definitely
Well thought out.
well thought
Very
out.
well thought out.
So these are the
These
extra
are the
tines.
tines. You take the 2 rows of disc blades off. The ones where the bolt spread the farthest is the front row. They would mount on your 2 outside holes here. The next one bolts on here, and I think that hole.
So they're made.
So you
they're
have
made
that
to be-
way you have no disc.
You have no disc. You've got a total of 30 harrow tines.
Check that
So
out,
you
guy.
can see what you're getting there. Do that when you got the 30 harrow tines on there, and it's just a 30 harrow tine assault.
I love it.
Man, I'm in love with this
The
thing.
Harrowtine Assault.
Yeah.
I love it.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm anxious to get a field in.
Well, I'm a old school Harley mechanic by trade. This don't leak oil and it don't make the girl smile. Our Pheasants Forever chapter's up there like a Midwest mix they got, and it's about a 2-gallon pail of mix. But it's got corn, sunflower, which are the 2 big seeds, milos, millets, sorghums. Just
And that you use in the big box.
well, with the corn and the sunflower in there, you got to put it in the big box.
Right, got it.
Well, playing with that, we found out we were putting it down way too heavy. It's about 40 pounds an acre, and it called for about 14. So we played around with that, and like I said, that was about a 2-gallon pail of mix. We found out if we'd take and add 2 more pails of cracked corn. The cracked corn, once it's cracked, won't germinate. It's just a filler. And that took, by mixing it with volume, not by weight, you cut that down, took it right down to 14 pounds an acre.
Man.
But with a grain of salt, common sense goes a long ways, because this thing was made for the native grasses, which are fluffy. You cannot fill that back box with that heavy grain seed and expect them agitators to turn through that.
Right.
It's just not going to do it. If you're going to put a heavy corn-based seed mixture in there, you're only going to get about a 1/3 to a 1/4 full, which is still quite a bit of food plot on the ground. Soybeans are not a big problem, because soybeans, you can overpopulate them and they'll grow fine. If you overpopulate corn, you're just going to have a short corn grass.
Right. What's the retail on this?
$69.95.
And why 95 not?
Oh, that's so I don't take your last $5.
Well, I think you guys are going to be happy to have one of these. I think we've covered as much as we can cover here today. Dewey, awesome product right here, man.
You bet. Thanks.
So
man.
you don't mind these guys calling you and bugging you, getting on your website?
Nope.
And
We answer the phone 7 days a week.